preparing. I got some news stories to talk about. We could talk about the massive dust storm.
Yeah, because I didn't read. The one I said I was going to read yesterday. Oh, weird. There's a lot.
All right, we are up and running.
I think I can hear you.
Yeah, mute yourself, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a lag from.
Okay. We've never done this before. This is the first time.
This is exciting. This is exciting. Yeah, the one I said about the solstice I didn't read, so. But we can talk about the big earthquake in Oaxaca.
Is that how you pronounce it? I wasn't sure.
I had to Google it.
Hey, you did more than I did.
Well, let's start off with the introduction, fellas. We are live. Yeah. This is the first live Geology Flannelcast. We've never done this before, so please bear with us. We are learning as we go. This is a new experience for us. I am Chris.
I am Steve.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Jesse.
Eeyore.
I'll bring some more energy here in a second. Let me hold on.
All right.
There you go.
So we're doing this live today. We normally have a podcast come out every what's today, Tuesday? Yeah, every Tuesday, but we kind of had a little technical snag yesterday, so that podcast is going to be delayed a little bit, and we wanted to keep our listeners happy. So consider this like some extra bonus content.
Yeah, for free.
For free.
Yeah, you don't even have to be a Patreon for this one.
No.
You should be.
Yeah. You do get bonus content every week if you are a Patreon. We have a little addendum to our guests. They usually tell us some sort of crazy story. The one last night was pretty crazy.
Yes.
When he was in the mine.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
And then you also have the Q&A. So
yeah, and feel free, post on questions on Facebook. Be like, hey, Patreon's out there. Is the extra content worth it? I can tell you right now the answer is yes. But
always.
Yeah. Or send us some questions. We're always looking for good ideas.
Yeah. So do that. Hit us up on Patreon. You get lots of fun stuff on there. But it's I guess since it's a Flannelcast episode, we should start off with the formatting formula commercial. We're sponsored by the formatting formula. Go check them out. They have a YouTube page, formatting. Second one, they're under what's
youtube.com/C/formatting formula. Yeah. If you ever have any Word document that you need something more than just like bullets, the formatting formula can teach you about bullets too. But I feel like if I can master bullet points, then most people can. But the formatting formula, all of your Word formatting needs, anything from something super simple to super complicated embedded figures in your dissertation and hyperlinks and fancy table of contents and whatnot. All the videos for everything: Mac, PC, old versions of Word, new versions of Word. What was Word version yesterday? 9. I don't even know if that's a thing, but formattingformula.com. Check them out. Tell them the Geology Flannelcast sent you. A, maybe they'll hook you up with a discount. B, it makes us just look awesome. Awesomer, is that a thing?
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be
super awesome.
Is it possible? That's the question.
That's a good point. That is a good point. But we're moving up in the ranks in the natural history podcasts throughout the world. What are we, 81 now, Chris?
Yeah, not that we're
81 in the United States, 81. So you had
really just took us down a peg, didn't you?
Well, I'm just being honest. I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? The numbers don't lie. I don't know.
No, but I feel like weren't we like 22 or something in Indonesia? Something really weird. Like
we hit number 9 in Indonesia.
Number 9, yeah. So
yeah.
Word version 9, podcast number 9.
Full circle, baby.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Is that Yoko Ono? Number 9? Number
Oh,
9?
yeah, it is.
Number 9?
Um,
Chris is like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know what Yoko Ono is.
Is that a real thing? I only know it from The Simpsons, so I don't know. Is that a real thing?
It is a real thing. I don't know if it was on a John Lennon album or a Yoko Ono album, but yeah. Little too avant-garde for me in the early 80s when I was, 2. So
listen, guys, there we got some visitors here. Some people watching. This is actually pretty exciting. I didn't expect anyone to watch this, but
why'd you tell me that? Now I'm getting all sweaty.
You're always
nervous.
sweaty.
That's true. I had to turn off my fan because it was too noisy. Now I'm just hot.
So we got a couple of things scheduled for today. This is going to be this is going to be fun. We got some news stories for us to break down, kind of what's going on in the world of geology right now. But so for anyone listening, if you want to just ask us some questions during the chat right now, we'll get to that. We'll address it, and we'll try to do. I don't know if people have questions. We'll play Stump the Geologist. This should be pretty good. It's always fun to see how little we know. Or I'm just joking, but
as long as nobody's
some fun stuff.
Yeah, as long as no one's fact checking us live, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Fact check us live. There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be interactive for everyone. So I guess we could start off with some news stories. There was a big earthquake today in Mexico. What was it, Jesse? Do you have the numbers for that?
7.4.
7.4.
Yeah, which is gigantic.
I think I saw. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. That was southern Mexico, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, Oaxaca.
Yes. Southern western coast.
Yeah. Any word on damage or deaths or things like that?
No, I didn't really hear too much. I did see a pretty cool video of I guess it was in a river. There was a seiche where you have this standing wave.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. We should link that up. And you look at it. It's pretty neat. There's some dogs in it. It's awesome. Yeah. So
dogs and earthquakes, baby.
Do you know anything about this? It's I guess it's a is it subduction going on there? It's a reverse fault. It's a steeply dipping reverse fault. So that would be convergence. So that's got to be subduction, right?
Yeah. I think anything along the that west coast there is. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's most likely subduction. There's it looks like there was a tsunami. It's apparently associated with this as well. Looks like so far 4 people are dead from this earthquake. It's
tragic.
Yeah. The New York Times is just updated that about an hour ago. So this is like breaking news.
There's no more tsunami watch now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the US or the NOAA website right now, but
so it occurred. So it is a subduction zone. It's 100 kilometers northeast of the North America Trench, where the Cocos Plate begins to descend beneath southern Mexico there. So the Cocos Plate, man, is cooking 60 millimeters a year. That's a lot.
That's not super fast,
right?
Well,
I mean,
60 millimeters. That's 6 centimeters. Yeah. So you figure the Atlantic Ocean's opening up at 2 centimeters a year.
Yeah.
So it's moving 3 times faster than the Atlantic Ocean.
Right, but the Pacific Plate, and that Pacific Ridge is moving at what, like 14 centimeters a year.
Man, you're always throwing out the Pacific Plate.
What can I say? I'm a Southern Hemisphere kind of
guy. No, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking centimeters there.
Oh, 60. Yes. Okay. All right. I was gonna say 6. No, it's faster than the Atlantic, like the mid-ocean ridge, but like 3 times faster. But
I guess it is. Yeah, not.
That's still something to shake a stick at. But I could run away faster. It's like that scene in Austin Powers.
Which scene? What are you talking about?
When the steamroller is going to run him over.
Oh yeah.
No. And steamroller's like 100 yards away. He's like, just move. and he doesn't move. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. There's our first 20-year-old movie quote of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, there'll be many more. I'm sure there'll be a Simpsons reference here and there too.
I've already made it.
There already was.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess, the earthquake was the big story today. So the other thing that's been in the news this week is this dust storm coming off of this like Saharan dust storm that's going across the Atlantic Ocean. And I don't know if you guys have seen any pictures of this. It just hit Antigua. It's hitting the Caribbean right now.
Yeah, it looks it looks just like crazy fog, but then when you realize it's not water vapor particles, it's dust.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's awful.
You can see it from the satellite that goes. The Geo 17 satellite.
Yeah, and the ISS is taking pictures of the dust cloud too.
Yeah,
it's huge. This thing is enormous.
Yeah, I used it as my it was my title slide on my lecture today in my sustainable environments class.
Nice.
Look at you bringing it.
I forgot to mention it. I as soon as it was done, I disconnected from the meeting or whatever, and I was like, I should have talked about what that image was. Anyway,
nice.
Can't win them all.
I mean, and these dust storms do happen every year.
Mm-hmm.
Just this one happens to be massive. They say it's like the biggest one in the last 50 years or something.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what I saw. 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get that Saharan dust. It usually comes up further north and it settles on Greenland, and that's where you're seeing. If you look in the Greenland ice core record, one of the reasons they can count the layers is because you have dark stripes. You'll have a light stripe, dark stripe, light stripe, and that's the biannual, like winter, summer.
Neat. Almost like lake varves.
Yeah. And so the dark layer is actually from Saharan dust.
Now, when you say Saharan dust, what size particles are we talking? Like really fine grained sand?
It's got to be silt or lower. Fine, even I think sand is too.
That's what I would think, but I just didn't. I guess when I think of the Sahara, I just think a big sand dune.
Yeah, no, it's I guess silt because the density of air is just so low to get.
Yeah, unless they were even if they were bigger grains, but they'd need to be flatter.
To entrain them. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Ask Sandman. He would know better than us.
Yeah, come on, Seminac, chime in.
Yeah.
So I don't know the size of the dust grains. It'd have to. I mean, it's not like it's not your normal size of. It's not sand. It would have to be, I imagine, silt or clay size. Yeah. Maybe not even clay. Clay sensitive. I don't know. I don't know anything about the size
clay
of
will clump, I guess.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
256th of a millimeter.
Anywhere from 256 to 64.
There you go.
The microns.
So and so normally the interesting thing about this one is like Jesse said, either the sandstorms go off into a different direction, or they just kind of peter out and they just don't go anywhere. I mean, it'll go over the Atlantic Ocean and then just kind of like poof, that's it, kind of die out. And this thing's really trucking along, going across the Atlantic Ocean here. So it's doing its own thing. And so this year, it's obviously complicates things with COVID going around. Anybody with so obviously, if you have COVID, you don't want to be. It's going to further complicate things if you start breathing in all this sand, or we just said it's not sand. All this material. The other interesting thing is that this tends to happen on when these dust storms happen. It kind of it sucks out the moisture in the atmosphere, and it kills. They're hurricane killers. So as this dust storm is going across, we're getting, I think are we in hurricane season right now? I should know.
Yeah, we just had our fourth storm for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will kill it'll kill all any developing storms in the Atlantic in the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, the southern,
'Cause,
I mean the down near the tropics.
yeah. So it won't allow the storms to suck up the moisture.
Tropical storm Dolly is currently cruising off the coast of Nova Scotia right now.
Now, I have a question, because I thought you needed, sometimes if you had a particle in the air, it would nucleate moisture to start congregating. Like they've
that's how the cloud,
shotgunning dust into the air to try to create clouds.
I'm not saying we should start cloud seeding, but we should.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I thought, I guess it's just too much seed and you're choking it out. I don't know.
Hurricanes are really finicky to form. There's a lot has to go right in order to get the hurricane doing its thing. It's statistically, it very a very few amount of storms turn into hurricanes. So I guess this thing just kind of just screws everything up. And if you're trying to make a hurricane, I guess.
Did they know how long it's going to last, or what the deal is?
No, I didn't see anything in the news about how long it would last. I mean,
I
don't have an answer for that.
That does make sense, because if you had one rainstorm, there goes all your dust. So,
yeah, but we'll see. This has been all over the news for about a week now, and it's just watching it truck across the Atlantic Ocean. And supposedly, Miami's been having some crazy sunsets lately.
Yeah,
so supposedly the dust storm is just part of the contributing factor to these really pretty sunsets, these like fire sunsets that Miami's been having. But,
I knew people who lived in Georgia, and they would say from time to time you'd get enough dust on your car that it's definitely noticeable. Kind of like the pollen up here every spring when everybody's car turns green. I've heard a few times where your car turns red from the sands from the Sahara, which is
when are you supposed to get it in Atlanta?
I don't know. Maybe if it keeps on going across, maybe
I would love that all of a sudden days. Chris's windows blow in and all this dust goes into his apartment.
That's all I need right now is a dust storm. On top of everything else. Yeah. It would be great. I'll keep you guys posted. We'll do a live Flannelcast hangout when the dust storm hits Atlanta, or if it does, I don't know.
You could be like a weather forecaster outside.
You'll just be huddled. You'll be huddled on the ground.
Yeah. You'd be like one of those fake weather forecasters that are like leaning into the wind, and then you see people just walking by.
I guess I often wondered about those meteorologists that they're on hurricane duty and they gotta ride out the hurricane. Do they want to do that, or do they just like pick the short straw and they're like some intern like, well, you got to pay your dues,
No, I absolutely
go down there to that category 4.
I absolutely think they want to do it.
Yeah,
they're just a certain kind of crazy.
In my natural disasters class, I do show clips of Al Roker just getting blown over. It's like a compilation. Him just getting,
really?
Yeah, it's great. And he loves it. He's like laughing. It's great. Everyone is having a good time, Al Roker included.
Yeah, until one day he gets impaled by like a fence post or something.
Yeah, well, I'll probably leave that clip out.
And this is the snuff film of the day.
This is natural disasters kill people.
There's a story my PhD advisor told me about this with there was a coastal geologist back in the day, and this is like back in the, I guess like the 80s or something like that. And this guy would ride out these like nor'easter. In case you don't know what a nor'easter is, it's a coastal storm, basically a wintertime coastal storm that comes up the east coast of the United States. And the ones they'll just dump there'll be like a blizzard on like the coastal cities, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, got like a couple feet of snow from these things. And in the Northeast, those are, or, more dangerous than hurricanes. They don't really get hurricanes going up that far up the coast. But anyways, so, and the other thing is these things, they can stall out and it can do a ton of damage. So they just kind of park over on the coast and just beat the heck out of the coast for days.
You would say that occasionally they're the perfect storm.
Yes, I think what was that?
If
that
George
was off the.
It was Hurricane Grace running into like a nor'easter, like a low pressure system coming.
Yeah. They all combined. And
who was was that Paul Giamatti?
No, it was
Mark Wahlberg.
Well, no, I know that, but there was the meteorologist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. I'm not going to Google it. It's not.
No,
it's not even worth.
Yeah. No, I love that scene where
it's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I secretly.
Did they have a line like that in Twister too? Like in Twister, the two storms converged, and like if these two storms come together, it's not going to be good.
It'll be a twister. I secretly love when movies say their title. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'll be.
But anyway, so back to my story. There was this old school geologist, coastal geologist. Supposedly the story is he would chain himself to a tree and he had a camcorder and he would just videotape these storms as they hit the coast. So I've never seen any of these. I've never seen any footage of that, but it just doesn't even sound fun. Cause I don't know. It just,
hey, you want to be able
I wouldn't do it.
What if the key gets
what if
blown away? Like, then you're stuck to the tree. I assume he locks it with some sort of lock. I don't know.
What happens if you get a storm surge and now you're strapped to a tree and you go underwater?
Now you're on a tree. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong during a storm. You don't want to be on on a barrier island when a storm hits the coast. That's just evacuate. Get out of there.
We had prototypes and designs for like 55-gallon drums and some GoPros. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Our conversations, we were going to try to find an inlet opening during a storm.
Yep.
Oh, geez, that was years ago. Yeah.
Still think it's viable.
We'd have to figure out a way to
100 more Patreons to make that happen.
At a pretty good life insurance policy as well.
Oh, that's what the drum's for in the GoPro. We're not going to stand there.
I haven't set up remotely.
You would just see like rain. You wouldn't see any. It would just be blurry rain. You need little windshield wipers.
Yeah. No, it's a system. I got ideas. Yeah.
The weatherman from Perfect Storm is Christopher McDonald, who played Shooter McGavin in
I just saw Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
There's that's their second reference to a 1990s movie right there.
I think
I got
that's
the
our
tally.
third.
My dry erase board right here. That's tally number 2.
We got Perfect Storm. We got
it's Perfect Storm. That's number 3. Okay.
And then we got Austin Powers and
that was number 1.
Yeah.
Austin Powers number 1, Perfect Storm, and then Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, he's also he's the voice of the agent in the movie The Iron Giant. Have you seen that one?
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever.
That's a good one.
Years
big
ago.
fan of it. My kids like it, so
I'll have to get my kids. I wonder if that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, is it a Disney? I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
My spoiled kids, I'm sure, can find it somewhere. So on Monday night, we usually record on Monday nights. So Monday nights, my internet is terrible. So I make everybody get off the internet. So my wife now knows what the broadcast television shows are on Monday nights. Like old school. Like she has to, like, on channel 17, it's this show. And on channel 29, it's this show.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So I guess moving on, I got another news story here. This is a fun one. This will keep you guys on your toes. All right. Here we go. And we'll have a pretty good discussion about this because this is pretty fun. So obviously, if you're a regular listener to the show, you know about Jesse's Corner, and Jesse slaves all week to develop. He finds these topics, does much research. He's in the library till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, looking
Not the
this stuff
library.
up.
He's online. He hasn't left his basement in 4 months.
Yeah.
That may not be an exaggeration. That might be reality. So I have this list of stories just in case, we have to do something like, actually not just in case we have something like this, but it came in handy. So let's see. But 2 weeks ago, there was a news story that came out about the Chicxulub impact crater. All right. And let me pull it up here so I don't botch this.
Famous impact site that killed off the non-avian dinosaurs 66 million years ago.
Allegedly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was the geologists were drilling in that crater. So the crater, did we say where it is? Did I miss that? It's off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico.
Yeah, I didn't, but I'm glad you did.
Which is the East Coast in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But right off the, I don't know what you would call that, the hook or the foot,
the sticky outie.
Yeah. It's like the.
So.
I was gonna say, like, Italy and Mexico could like kick a soccer ball to each other because Italy's pointed that way and Mexico's pointed that way.
I feel like that's a World Cup ad.
Yeah.
You better get marketing on that.
So these guys were drilling down into the crater, and they're looking at the minerals, and the minerals that are inside the crater suggest that hydrothermal fluids had been circulating beneath the impact crater for some time after the impact. All right. So what does this mean? So, I think like, who cares about, what does this have, who cares about the minerals? They're looking at this evidence and saying like, oh, wow, like this could be potentially like basically like a breeding ground for simple life, like bacteria, kind of like very similar to some of the bacteria that live in like the Yellowstone hydrothermal pools. You see, it gives like those pretty colors in the pools in Yellowstone National Park. And so like, wow, these impact craters, there's hydrothermal activity. So in case you don't know what hydrothermal activity means, it's basically just like superheated, really hot groundwater moving through the rock. And what they're wondering now is that, and so before I get into that, they identified the minerals that they saw inside the Chicxulub crater formed when the fluids were more than 300 degrees Celsius, which is really hot. So, 100 degrees Celsius obviously is the boiling point of water. And they think that this stuff can go down, this chemical alteration from the hydrothermal fluids can go down pretty deep. They think maybe like 4 or 5 kilometers down below the surface of the earth. So looking at it, it's like a habitat for for microbes, right? So now the question is, we know that the earth was heavily bombarded.
Yeah, this is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So we're all going with hollow earth here, right?
Totally hollow inside and flat. It's flat and hollow. Okay.
Sorry. Carry on.
All right. So there's a period where the Earth just got nailed with asteroids. It was 3.9 billion years ago.
Yeah.
The late heavy bombardment.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird name. I never understood the late heavy bombardment.
Because we got bombarded heavily during accretion, like during 4.5 billion, and then there was a break.
Okay.
And then this is
so this is
the last gasp
now,
of the heavy bombardment period.
I could be wrong, but something's tickling in my brain. Wasn't Jupiter closer to the sun and then it moved out
like that? And it threw everything off.
Yeah, they have a model where Jupiter was closer, but then it moved further away, and when it moved further away, it basically threw a bunch of ping pong balls in the dryer and some of them hit her.
That sounds really familiar. All of that.
I think G, if he's listening, is like, you screwed that up. I'm guessing that's the class where I learned that.
So they know that there's this period in Earth's history where we just got nailed with stuff. But so we don't see the craters from this period today. And one of the ways that we figured out that the Earth got nailed with all these asteroids 3.9 billion years ago is from studying the moon, these lunar craters. And because on the surface of the Earth, too many things are changing. These craters are always they're always getting filled up with sediment, or the Earth's. You basically have all these geomorphic processes that are always reworking the surface of the Earth. Rivers moving, you can say like migrating around, and just the surface of the Earth is always changing. So finding craters on Earth is pretty hard. Now, if you look at something like the moon's like whatever happens on the moon kind of just stays on the moon. There's really not too much geomorphology changing the stuff around on the surface of the moon. So a little fun fact about craters on Earth. The more that geologists are studying these impact craters, the more they're realizing like, oh, this happens, a lot more. It's a lot more common than what we thought. This is, So anyway, so they're looking at it, and they're wondering now. They're just it's at this point now they don't have any evidence for this. It's just like a fun thought experiment at this point. But it's like, could this have been like, they're kind of pointing at like origins of life and things like that. Could microbes have survived in these craters? These like freshly formed craters. And so kind of like I said, just kind of like no evidence for it, but just kind of like a fun little thought experiment. Like, let's just kind of keep this in the back of our minds as we, continue to study these craters.
But it's just aliens. Well, that's what we're coming up with.
I mean, it tends to be aliens most of the time. I think. So
one of the main proponents of Hollow Earth, his name was Walter Siegmeister, and he lived in the early 20th century. And he that's I forget what his real name was. He changed it to that. But he became like this mystic who went around basically selling snake oil and like diet supplements and things like that. And but then he latched onto this idea that the Earth was hollow. And not only was it hollow, especially in like the 40s and 50s, all of he was freaked out by the atomic age. And he said all of these UFO sightings that people are seeing in the early 40s and 50s, the late 40s, early 50s, wasn't UFOs visiting us. It was actually aliens that lived in the center of the Earth, in the hollow Earth, that were getting off the planet because they didn't like all the nuclear weapons. So
why are we talking about this right now?
Hollow Earth. That's what the impact is. Aliens. That's me tying together aliens and Hollow Earth.
Like the conspiracy podcasts get all the views, man. We just need to turn our geology podcast into more of a conspiracy. What's the geology behind Nessie, the Loch Ness monster or Sasquatch? Is there a geologic tie?
Nessie was like it was a seaway that got tectonically blocked off, in the Mesozoic or something, and she got trapped. Or in the Loch Ness,
Lake Loch Ness.
Yeah, Loch Ness.
It was a submarine. It was a little kid's toy. It was
yeah, I volunteer at some local mineral clubs and stuff, and they raise funds. They find all these minerals out on field trips and stuff, and they raise funds by selling them. And I would say a good like 60% of their money comes from selling healing crystals. Like,
I was just gonna say
they don't sell them as healing crystals, but people come, they're like, no, I need a purple amethyst that's about this big because that's supposed to help my sciatica. And I'm like, well, here's one. here's a purple amethyst that's this big. You know, and you know, I never lie to people, but they're like, you know, what do you think about the healing crystals? I'm like, I know nothing about the healing properties of crystals. It's like, I can tell you about their internal structure and, you know, things like that, but the healing properties, you know, I'm not a medical doctor, so.
I've gotten that a fair amount. Like, do you believe in the healing properties of quartz? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have any patience for that kind of stuff. I just
I'll listen to it, because, you know, you always have to listen to, and, you know, at least listen to the other side of the argument, but it tends to fall flat when it comes to actual science. So it's difficult. And don't get me wrong, like I know medical doctors who think, you know, crystals help align people's chakras and puts them in a positive frame of light in order, you know, and if you're more positive about your rehab, then you usually have a better outcome, things like that. And you know, that I do understand, but whether or not the crystal had anything to do with it, you know, and I'm all ears, you know, pitch it to me. But so far I haven't been convinced. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, one time I was doing I had to go into the bank and do some banking work, and the nice lady at the bank was asking, she goes, she asked, like, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a geologist. She
banking?
Goes, oh.
Yeah, banking. What's banking?
Well, I did.
I almost spit up my beverage all over to confirm. Do some banking work.
That would have gotten us the YouTube views right there. Just you know, I had to I don't know, I do something like checking account. I don't know. I'm not going into details. I'm not telling you what I'm doing about
what's the last 4 of your social, Chris? What was that checking number again?
Oh, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, she asked me what I do for a living, and she was asking me about, you know, what about the healing properties of quartz? And I was just like, oh geez, like no. And although I get, not too often, but once a semester, I'll get somebody that comes into my office asking me to identify, or I have these very valuable minerals, or they'll always say like gemstone. They'll never say minerals, like these very valuable gemstones. One guy comes in my office once, like just off the street, and it's just like the weirdest thing. It's just like, what am I, like am I like the geologist that I have to, like, you know, just the public geologist? I have to answer everybody's questions here.
Yes.
And they're always, they ask me to identify these minerals. This one guy comes in, he says, what, because I got some very valuable gemstones that I guess it's a family member that passed away, and he inherited this collection, and he brings it to me. I said, come on, I'll take a look at them. What do you got?
Pull out your jeweler's loop.
Like, it was just quartz. It was just like, it was quartzite. It wasn't even like, it was like right off of like just chipped off of you know, I don't know, like a piece of schist or something, or nice, or, you know, some kind of.
Was it in jewelry or anything?
No, it was just a chunk. That was it. It was just a chunk of quartzite. And I was like, I hate to break it to you, buddy, like it's just quartz. I said, I'm looking at it. I said, it's quartz. I'm sorry, man, this isn't worth anything. And then he started like questioning my interpretation of it. He goes, well, is there any kind of test you can do? And I'm like, I'm the geologist here, man. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're, you know, like, you take my word for it. I said, you know, I was like, I mean, I was trying to be polite. I was like, there are some things I can do, but I've been doing this for a while, man. This is like, quartz is one of the most common minerals there is. Like, it's quartz. I'm sorry, man. You would have thought that, like, I kicked his puppy or something like that. This guy was so sad.
I mean, I was just gonna say, you probably ruined his day.
Yeah, he thought he was gonna be a millionaire walking out of that door, and you told him he was an idiot.
I mean,
there's a big swing there.
I didn't say that. I said that his mineral specimen was not worth anything. All right, and that's.
I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm just saying.
Don't waste my time.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
I don't know, Jesse, have you ever had anyone come into your office asking to identify rocks?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. We had someone recently come in, and they brought in this really weird rock that they thought was a meteorite because it was super heavy, and it was insanely magnetic on one end. It was very weird. And here, what it was, it wasn't. It was just like it was from, I think, Jersey, but there was magnetite. There was a vein of magnetite that like ran through this rock. It was kind of crazy. It was a really cool rock. Not a meteorite though.
A meteor wrong.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I said, and I smashed.
That's not my joke. That's not my joke. That's.
But the guys, I don't know. They might have been like fishermen or something. They were trawling off like George's Bank or somewhere, like, you know, up in Nova Scotia, off the Flemish Cap. Speaking of the perfect storm, that's where they meet their demise. But these guys, I think, were trawling up there, and and they had this pottery. They had this like bottle, or it was like a what are those like? It was just like a ceramic vessel, and it was really cool, and it had this really weird marking on the bottom of it. No other markings or anything. Yeah, I just picked it up off the bottom of the ocean. It looked old. That's what I told him. I don't know anything about that. Go over to archaeology. It looks old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's really neat. But yeah, every once in a while, usually they'll go to like someone else, and I'll hear other people down the hall being like, yeah, go talk to Jesse at the end of the hall there. And I'm like,
yeah, I had that once where a kid brought in they were off the coast of Florida, and there's this big black rock in the middle of all this white limestone, and it looked just like a meteorite, and it was metal and it was dense. But we did all this testing on it. Like, you can cut and polish it, and it was pretty neat because it just kind of looks like a big rusty chunk of something. And then when you cut and polish it, like, it is like gleaming metal. It was pretty beautiful. But then you acid etch it, and you're looking for that Widmanstraten, which is basically the crystal lattice of these metallic minerals growing slowly in outer space. So they actually grow, like, when you etch it, you can actually see the crystalline structure on the inside, and that's supposed to be an indicator. And there was actually a tiny bit of it, so it was like really interesting. But then we sent it off to some lab in like Maryland or something. They're like, nope, it's probably just an old cannonball that fell into the limestone, like, you know, hundreds of years ago. So
wow.
But it was really pretty. I gave the rock back. I kind of wish I still had it, but
no, I want to say it's still in DT's.
Oh, is it still in
lab? Yeah, it's just like in a garbage bag sitting there. And
yeah, that sounds.
Didn't you all try and cut it on like the one big slab saw, and it like broke the blade? And...
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
That sort of. I don't want to step on your toes here.
No,
you got something to say, but this is topical. Do you remember Umau? My Hawaiian.
Yeah, the rock coming. Yeah,
it was the extrastellar object that like passed by us a couple of years ago. Not from our solar system. They're I guess like analyzing what data they have, and you know they thought it was a comet, and now they're not so sure that it's a comet or an asteroid. It's not quite like anything they've ever seen before.
Aliens.
Well, they're what was, I think the one thing I read, they were calling it a interstellar iceberg or something. It's so it's sort of
But
interesting.
it's solid, right? It's not. It's
Yeah.
Is it made of
No,
ice?
no. Yeah, but I mean, like it broke off maybe of something. It's not like.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the idea is that part of it too is like its shape and the way it was sort of moving. If it was a comet, it probably wouldn't have survived. It would have, sublimated. So it's very interesting. They're still like really looking at it. I'll send you the link for the article you can post, because they have this animation of it coming into our inner solar system, and it's awesome. They show it just coming in, and it gets like right by the sun, and it just goes whoop, and like slingshots right around it.
Whoa,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff.
It's actually pretty big too. I didn't realize it was this big. Sheesh.
How big is it?
Pretty big. I just
okay.
I don't have the number.
It doesn't have to be more technical than that. Come on.
Yeah. It's pretty big. Well, I mean, if they could see it like coming through, it's got to be. I'm sure it's a nice size.
Yeah. Well, now you got me thinking, and oh, maybe it's not as big as I thought. This article made it seem like it was bigger. Anywhere from 100 meters to a kilometer long.
It's still pretty big,
but it's tumbling as it moves.
Okay.
Remember,
isn't that the thing? That's how they knew. Isn't that how they knew it was from a different? Like, it wasn't from within our solar system. Was like the weird way that it was tumbling or something like that.
I'll believe anything you say.
But wasn't the Chicxulub impact only 6 kilometers? No. That's not right.
Yeah, no, it was 6 kilometers wide.
The size,
Okay.
yeah, 6. Yeah, the size of Manhattan. Yeah.
This was 1/6. So
do you like how I instantly doubted myself?
That's
about
the confidence.
Come on, man. We're gonna work your self-confidence a little more, right?
Yeah. Chris, do we have any questions or comments or anything coming up?
No questions right now. Drew from Pittsburgh says hi. What's up, Drew?
Hey, Drew.
If anyone has any questions, any listeners have any questions, we can play Stump the Geologist. We have 3 fine young geologists here.
Youngish.
Any questions?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Thanks.
Youngish. So maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Anything else going on right now in the news for geology?
They're still finding more and more out about that New Zealand continent.
Oh yeah, you said
that just came to be.
Oh yeah.
I didn't read it. I wasn't at my computer all day, so
no, it's fine. Basically, it just blows my mind that there's a continent we didn't really know about.
What's the name? Zealandia?
Zealandia, I think it is. Yeah.
Lost underwater continent. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, nothing. We found out about this, about a year ago, 2 years, a year ago? I don't know.
Time is an illusion. I don't know.
Yeah.
COVID time is a different time scale.
But, leave it to those geophysicists to figure this stuff out. Vast continent on the sea floor.
The whole thing, is it it hasn't been subducted, right? I really don't know anything about this. It hasn't been subducted, right? It's an actual, like, I think it's its own, like its own, just kind of its own plate.
It just kind of
ocean floor plate.
It's the way I'm figuring it out is it was actually continental, like dinosaurs roamed on it, but now it's under the ocean. So it's not subducted under the ocean. It's just like sank, or I guess sea level rose. I would. So the actually, the Zealandia was first coined by Bruce Lundgik in 1995. Wow! Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
I just Googled.
Yeah, New Zealand's very interesting because, like, it's like the convergence of like two tectonic plates, like the North Island and the South Island are like on different plates, right? I might be off on that. But
I think it is. 'Cause there's the two ends of the island are completely different.
Yeah, one you got volcanoes on the one and not so much on the other. Which would make sense.
Yeah, so they're saying the Pacific plate is believed to have sank below the continental crust of Zealandia. This is subduction. So 94% of Zealandia is now submerged underwater, but some parts of the continent are still above land, making up New Zealand and other small islands. The highest point of Zealandia is Akura Mount Cook at 3,700 meters or 12,000 feet.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting.
There's the Alpine Fault runs right through kind of the top end of New Zealand. And that's I believe that's a transform fault.
Yeah.
They get some pretty gnarly earthquakes down there in New Zealand.
They do. Yeah. There was that one big one. What was that 5 years ago? Something like that. So
you know who could talk about this would be our friend of the show, Matt Sophie. We need to contact him and get him back on the show.
How come he's not watching live?
I don't know. It's Sophie, if you're out there, what's up, man? What's
going on in New Zealand?
So
answer these questions.
Yeah.
So I Googled new plate in New Zealand, and it just sent me to like the New Zealand, like basically DMV. So I'm way off with.
Oh yeah, new plates for your car. I was hoping this would get us back to Hollow Earth and the aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the episode for Hollow Earth. Apparently,
yeah. Turns out it's their spaceship underneath the ocean. It's like the Abyss. Remember the movie The Abyss?
Yeah,
classic.
Yeah,
I never saw The Abyss.
Oh man,
what year did that come out? Does that count for the 1990s movies?
Yeah, it's got to be. It might be.
It might be late 80s.
It might be. Yeah, 1989.
It doesn't count.
I remember seeing that when I was like, I saw. I guess when it came out on VHS.
Oh, so it was probably that summer where you weren't swimming, so you're watching movies.
We would walk down to the movie store and rent movies. So I was like 8 or 9, and I watched it. I remember it freaking me out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, New Zealand basically broke off of Gondwana land, right? Gondwana land? No. 85 million years ago was Gondwana land, right?
No.
Gondwana. Sorry.
No, that wasn't Gondwana. Was an 85 million.
Yeah, and this must be
because
this must be wrong.
How about? Gondwana first formed 800 million years ago.
Yeah,
that's old.
When it was completed 600 million years, that's when it all came together. Yeah.
Yeah. So the late that should have been Pangea. I think it's wrong here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, who knows? I guess if you count when Antarctica and Australia were still together, which was well into the Mesozoic.
Yeah.
They don't break up. They don't break up until really recently, like 40 million years ago. So I guess in the most technical sense, which is nitpicking in my mind, if you're going to be a supercontinent, you're a supercontinent. Once you break up, it is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't still call like North America and South America remnants of Pangea, do we?
No,
that's right.
No, I agree.
No,
thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you.
Speaking of New Zealand, I got another news story about New Zealand. This one's about 3 weeks old, but it's still, we can still say it's current events. So the title of this story is "Remnant of World's Largest Lava Lamp Blob Found Off the New Zealand Coast." That's a pretty funny title, but we're talking about I'm going to butcher the crap out of this word right now. Hikarangi. New Zealand's Hikurangi Plateau was once part of a gargantuan volcanic mountain that covered 1% of the Earth's surface.
What?
That's crazy.
What?
Yeah, here, I'll send you guys the link to this thing right now.
I mean, it's no Appalachian Mountains, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, here it is. I'll just send it to you. Right. Boom, just sent it to you guys. So let's go through this. What's going on here? So about 120 million years ago, a gargantuan blob of hot rock detached from the edge of the Earth's core and oozed up towards the planet's surface. All right. Today, a huge chunk of that blob, or they're calling it a super plume, as geologists call it, may be lurking off the coast of New Zealand, new research suggests. In a study published May 27th in the Journal of Science Advances, researchers measured the speed of seismic waves traveling through a layer of Earth called the mantle, that sits between the planet's crust and outer core. They focused on the Hikurangi Plateau, vast triangle-shaped chunk of volcanic rock located about 2,000 miles beneath the top of the South Pacific Ocean. So the team found a match between the seismic waves traveling through that chunk and those traveling through two other nearby volcanic structures. So according to the authors, it's likely that all three of these underwater structures were once part of the same gargantuan megaplateau formed more than 100 million years ago during the largest outpouring of volcanic material in Earth's history. So there you go. That's a lot. There's a lot going on right there.
So full circle. That's what led to the dinosaurs' demise, not Chicxulub.
100 million years ago. That's really interesting. So yeah, I mean, like the Earth, that's a good point. So the Earth does go through these periods of increased volcanic activity. And like right now, we're supposed to be in a time period where there's a decreased amount of volcanic activity. What are the Deccan traps in India? That seems like, wasn't that going off at the same, about 100 million years? That was going off in the Cretaceous, some point in the Mesozoic. Was it Cretaceous?
Yeah.
Deccan traps?
Right at the end. The Deccan traps are, there's a lot of thought that started leading to the extinction of a lot of things. It was just kicking up CO2 and there's a lot of
a lot of mercury too, right?
Yeah, so like the dating when they were occurring and when their outpouring was, there's some controversy involved if what's responsible for what. And they started forming like right before the impact, depending on how you date things, but the main series of them don't occur until after the impact. I guess it's a chicken and egg sort of thing. Yeah, they had a global impact. Obviously, you're dumping 500,000 square kilometers of lava. Like you're gonna mess things up.
500,000 square kilometers of lava. That's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So that's only the present detectable area. It's estimated that it was upwards of 1.5 million square kilometers.
Whoa.
Holy crap. What is that like comparable to?
That's like the United States.
Yeah, I once did this for a class I tried to do a metaphor. I wanted to say, like, if you put a fence around Central Park and you dumped all of the lava into Central Park, it would reach like 3/4 of the way to the moon or something.
So real fast, Jesse, what did you say was the area of the Deccan traps?
1.5 million square kilometers.
Okay, so the area of the United States is 9.8 million square kilometers. Yeah. So you can round it up to 10. So it's 1/10 the size of the United States. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, is that the continental US or the?
Yeah. I mean, it would cover all of India today. India is only 1.3 million square kilometers. But remember, it's not spreading, it's piling up. So
yeah. So you have to think more volume than area.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm with you, Steve.
Yeah.
I
What?
think I might need to call this soon.
Yeah. Especially since, we're not getting any challenge the geologist questions. I'm slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
Hit us up on the YouTube chat.
Slightly relieved.
Yeah.
Try to stump the geologists. We got some viewers there.
You got a few more minutes before Jesse and I fall asleep.
I was yeah. I lost my train of thought. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea. There's oh man, I worked with a guy when I briefly worked for the state of New Jersey. Did he not believe in plate tectonics? He was trying to ascribe every landform on Earth to impact events. And there is some thought of, did the Chicxulub impact, did that somehow set off some of this volcanism? Did it shake loose some of that magma?
Yeah, that's been
you really jarred something loose, Tiger. Really that's Kingpin. That's another 90s movie, Chris.
That's a good one. It's the Farrelly brothers, Woody Harrelson, Bill Murray. All right, they're up to 4. Yeah, I've heard that there's been some controversy about that, like, with the Deccan traps and the Chicxulub impact crater, and some people, I just from the stuff that I've read, there was an article floating around a couple of years ago. It's saying, like, was it the Deccan traps and the Chicxulub impact that took out the dinosaurs? It was like a 1-2 punch. With the Chicxulub, with the Deccan traps, like, kind of leading to changing climate or something like that. So, but it's so hard to figure this stuff out. Like, how do you determine what killed the dinosaurs? I mean, like, we do know, we have very definitive evidence there was a big chunk of rock that hit the Earth, 66 million years ago. That obviously they've done some models with that, and that wasn't a very nice time to be alive on Earth when after that rock hit the Earth. And then if you start getting,
it was for mammals.
Mammals really ate that one out. Thank God.
Yeah, we live underground. We're insulated from those fires. We're good.
And Radiolab, have you ever listened to the podcast Radiolab? They had, I guess, going back a couple of years
ago. I only listen to our podcast.
That's it. Just on loop over and over and over again. But they had an excellent podcast. It was so cool, all about, like, what happened when that asteroid hit Earth and just what you had to deal with. And there's some crazy ideas of what some people think happened. They think they were talking about how they think the Earth heated up like a giant, like, basically like a pizza oven. So you had this asteroid slam into the Earth, and it sprayed all of this material up, and it actually it went up. It basically left the Earth's atmosphere, and then gravity pulled it all back in. And as it was coming in, it was all heating up. It was burning up. And it basically, they're saying that heated the surface of the Earth to like 400 degrees. So these dinosaurs were like baking from like that ejecta coming back down into Earth. And then you had to deal with the tsunami because it was a marine impact, and
it sounds awful.
They think the tsunami went up to Missouri from the Yucatan Peninsula. It traveled all the way up to, as far north as Missouri.
Yeah, and
there's some rumors.
Yeah, we talked about that with Tim about that fossil site in the Midwest.
Yeah, in South Dakota, right?
Yeah, which is
I
mean, I have a chunk of charcoal from the KT boundary from out in Colorado, from a wildfire that was set off from a tektite sort of raining down and just lighting the setting off these global wildfires.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and we know people who found shock quartz in New Jersey from the impact from Chicxulub 65 million years ago. So
allegedly.
Well, I saw a picture of it. It looks pretty shocked.
I was at a mineral show a couple years back, and I was trying to get some Christmas presents, and I bought there's one vendor was selling meteorites or whatever, and so yeah, that's pretty cool. And I was chatting with her for a little bit, and she goes, "Here, take this," and it was, I mean, it's super super small. I think I have it over here. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The people can't see this. It was from back in, was it 2012? When did that meteorite hit Russia?
Oh,
I remember I was meeting up with you guys that afternoon, and we were sitting around having a beverage and watching the news, and we're like, "Whoa, this is crazy! That thing, this thing just hit
Chelyabinsk.
Yeah, that sounds about right." She goes, "Here, this is a piece of that meteorite."
What?
And I was like, "Holy crap!" Yeah, I have it's somewhere on my bookshelf.
2013.
2013. Okay, yeah, that's right. But I don't know. I don't know if it's real. I mean, I don't know. This I was like,
you should
at least
walk into some random university and find a geologist and ask him.
Full circle, baby. Full circle. All right.
You ready to wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. This is pretty cool. We had some people joining in.
Drew from Pittsburgh.
Drew from Pittsburgh.
Hey, Drew.
Thanks for hitting us up. Actually, it's funny. New Zealand was like the common thing that we were talking about today. On Facebook, Philippa, I think that's how I pronounce your name, right? She goes, "Hello from Wellington, New Zealand." So
nice.
We could have used you 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. We talked a lot about New Zealand today. So yeah, guys, thanks. This is really cool. We'll have to do this more often. And thanks for bearing with us in the beginning. This was kind of a learning process. We never did one of these live streams before, but that's pretty cool. We'll have to do some more of these in the future.
Part of it was, we're just sort of making up for the delay in yesterday's episode.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have anything planned. We're just kind of winging it. Unlike our other episodes which
are storyboarded and massively researched and so.
Well-oiled machine,
Yeah. All right, but seriously, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out our Patreon. Help boost our numbers so we can go from 81 to 71 maybe next month.
Whoa, look at you.
Getting ambitious. Don't forget
we're gunning for this American life.
Yeah.
Watch out, Joe Rogan. Here we come.
This Sasquatch Watch or something. We'll have to change our name to in order to break the top 10.
We'll work on that name.
Yeah. You don't like Sasquatch Watch? I'm going to start making watches of mini Sasquatches.
You should not have just said that. You know that someone's going to come up with an idea now. Oh man, it's gonna be like a picture of that guy from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah,
that's another reference right there. There we go. 5. There we go. All right,
5 in an hour and 13 minutes.
Harry and the Hendersons got to be the 80s, right?
That might be the 80s.
Yeah, 87.
Okay.
No, it was 87. Ah,
yeah.
John Lithgow was.
John
Lithgow.
Yeah. All right. So. Anyways, thanks, guys. We love you guys. This is really fun. Check our website, geologyflannelcast.com, Facebook, Geology Flannelcast, Twitter, GeoFlannelcast, patreon.com/geologyflannelcast.
Formatting formula for all your word formatting needs.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Send us an email. You can hit us up at questions@geologyflannelcast.com if you want to play Stump the Geologist. Or you could just go to our website and hit up, I don't know, ask us. I think it's questions, listener questions or whatever.
Next
I'll do
week,
an
I'm going to
episode
start
of-
giving my office mailing address if you want to send me rocks. I'll tell you what it is.
There you go.
Oh, dude.
He's not going
There
to
you
send them
go.
back.
No,
This is-
they're mine now.
Yeah.
Well, so there's supposedly real fast. I know we want to end, but one last story. Supposedly at the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
You know, they say it's bad luck to take any rocks off of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And this is just like a secondhand story that I heard. I don't even know if this story's accurate or not, but it's just a fun story to tell. So what ends up happening is people steal these rocks they take the rocks off of Hawaii and they take them home, whatever, they're on vacation. Like, oh, I want a Hawaiian rock as a souvenir. And you're cursed if you take any rocks off of the Hawaiian Islands. And so what people do is like they take the rock off the island and they go home or whatever. And then they like just bad stuff starts happening to them. And they're like, oh, it's the rock. And they send the rock back to the Mauna Loa Observatory. But there's like weird stuff like granites and sandstones and things like that they're like, we don't even have these rocks here in Hawaii. They're just like people are sending back like random rocks. Like, here, maybe, you know,
take my bad juju.
I guess. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anyways, there you go. All right, guys. So thanks for bearing with us. We'll try to get the episode out I'm shooting for tomorrow, but yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. This was really fun. We'll have to do this live stream again soon.
right.
Take care, guys. And
Thanks, everyone.
That's all she wrote. Good night. Have a good one.